and welcome to the Cover One Buffalo podcast. You are joining your host, Greg Tompsett, along with my technically undefeated partner in crime, Aaron Quinn. Aaron, how we doing?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say technically challenged after last week's. Also true. But no, technically undefeated. Never doubted, even for a second there in the second quarter, early third quarter. Not at all. We're going to breeze right through that. Yeah, no, but Greg, let the people know why they're here joining us tonight once again.
Despite what it may feel like, you are joining because the Buffalo Bills have defeated the New Orleans Saints 31-19, their fourth straight 30-plus point game, another double-digit victory, but somewhat similar to last week, made it feel closer than maybe it needed to be. So another game where, again, they take care of business, but not in the dominant fashion that everyone was kind of hoping. We got that boat race game in week 2 against the Jets where they were up 30-3 and just fully in command and had Mitch Trubisky time in the fourth quarter. This game, again, we needed a weird, roughing the punter again. That's weird that's come up twice now. Yeah. But also, some dropped touchdown, like they were Brandon Cooks, being able to hold on to a ball between Cole Bishop slipping and being in position to catch what would have been a ball to take the lead in that game. It would have put him up 22-21 and then probably going for 2 to try to make it 23-21. Again, it's nice to be in position to play, pretty frustrating, relatively ugly, not that convincing of a game. And again, to put up 31 points and to win by 12. It's just a weird existence we have here. Our expectations are so high that, 12-point wins to go 4-0 feel deflating. It's a weird world.
Yeah, it's super close to what we predicted, right? I think I had it 35-15 or something, 35-13, something like that. So Saints scored a little bit more. What felt really frustrating about this game, Greg, was just the continuous, like you said, like needing to rely on those plays. But I think you needed to rely on those plays because they kind of shot themselves in the foot. I think there was a lot of inconsistency on both sides of the ball in this game. I'm not sure optically who's going to take the bulk of the hate in this game. I think the offense probably did enough, obviously scoring as much as they did, but they really put this game in a weird spot there in the second and third quarter where the offense, again, we just keep coming here week after week talking about, once the defense has always given up this first drive. That's super frustrating. Then they kind of lock in. This is the same thing they did last year, but then the offense stalls, making these games that should have been an arm's length earlier in the game a little bit harder, a little bit more frustrating, a little bit more nervous mafia, where it does mean a big difference whether or not that touchdown's a drop or a catch, and that takes the lead or not, or relying on some penalty to extend a drive because you're punting there. Like, I have so many marked spots in this game where if a play flips for the Saints, like, we're talking about a pretty big upset, even though the scoreboard reads 31-19 and it's exactly what we predicted. The Bills didn't get the job done in the way that we anticipated them to. This was not a dominating effort, even though the scoreboard looks that way.
Yeah. And it's, again, this is kind of the life that we live now. Our expectations are to destroy teams every single week. If you want to know, it is weird. Yeah, they technically did. They won by 12. They won by 12, 31-19, and we're gonna spend most of the time talking about the things we're disappointed in.
Yeah.
And if you want a good comparison, the Los Angeles Chargers should have handled the New York Giants and instead lost that game. And now, instead of being 4-0 in a game that they definitely should have won, they lost and ended up, had lots of opportunities to come back in that game and let Jackson Dart in his first game with no Malik Neighbors, who tore his ACL fairly early in that game, somehow take that game. So just a good example that you do have to take care of business in this league, and that there's plenty of opportunities to stub our toe or shoot ourselves in the foot, and we've somehow made our way back in these games to not let that happen and to be able to put ourselves into winning position. So
I said it on Twitter during this game and wherever socials you want to follow me on. I was talking about how we've had so much under Sean McDermott and Josh Allen led teams in the past where they've had these types of games so many times, and at halftime it's split off and gone so many different ways. We have examples of the game where it's a little closer than it should have been at half, and then that team kind of sticks around, the Jaguars game, stuff like that, where they just never really get rolling. But then we have games like Titans games of the past I can think of. There's certain games where they were a little closer than they should have been at half, and then all of a sudden the Bills just rattle off. And the score looks similar to like we saw today, but I didn't feel like the Bills actually took charge of this game, even though they started to rattle off points in that second half. But you have such an example, and I think that's such a good thing for the Bills being one of these top teams right now, Greg, is that they've been through all, like you have players that have been through all these ups and down type games that the McDermott era has experienced. Forever you feel about McDermott, they've been through a lot, and I think they guided themselves here through another disappointing one, even though they had to rely on a lot of kind of serendipitous things for this game to go their way.
Yeah. The reason that we're saying that, you look at the stat lines of what we had, and it's just not the normal, relatively efficient.
Looking great.
Yeah. The run game actually was phenomenal. 30 to 32 carries for 165 yards. James Cook, 22 carries for 117, 5.3 yards a carry, another touchdown, his 8th consecutive game with a touchdown, franchise record, and nice to see there. And Josh Allen, 7 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown, a couple really clutch ones late that he was able to help put this game away and ice it. So still nice to see from that standpoint, and relatively efficient from a passing standpoint, 16 to 22, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, had the kind of arm punt early. It was a bomb on 3rd and long that, I don't think, from what we saw from Cameron Johnston, I don't think the punt was going to be a heck of a lot further than where he threw the arm punt to for the interception. But it technically was the first turnover of the season and the first interception Josh had since December of last year.
And almost repeated it like the next throw.
Tried real hard.
Tried really hard
to throw them in there. Another ball. It's weird because the offensive line run blocking looked pretty phenomenal.
Looked amazing.
And a couple of the the first sack was 100% on Josh. Like, he sat there and I literally was like, throw the ball. Mm-hmm. And he's kept patting it. And after 5-6 seconds, that's not on the offensive line. Like, that's John Josh that he got sacked. And he's so good at that and has avoided so many that it feels foreign.
I'd like to see I'm interested to see some of the all 22 on that.
Yes. What was the coverage? What did Josh turn down?
Were the guys having trouble getting open? I didn't see a ton of it. Early, it looked like they were getting whatever they wanted. What did the Saints do a little bit differently in the middle part of that game to mug up some of Josh's looks? But that's also a pretty good pass rushing defensive line. I think if the Saints are going to find a path to success, it's going to be those guys playing really well and getting hits on the quarterback, because they definitely, it wasn't so much on the Bills offense stalling as much as sometimes they were making plays and winning their one-on-ones too. A lot of pass breakups, nice pass breakups, hits on the quarterback. They were making it tough on the Bills.
Obviously we won't really talk about their defense all that much, but Jonas Sanker played phenomenal. Phenomenal game. The couple of pass breakups he made, the body positioning and not grabbing on the back end, but to jump up and break away, knock away some of those balls. Really, really well done. And we did talk about it Wednesday night. The talent that they still have on this defense isn't immense, but it's on the defensive front. It's Demario Davis at linebacker, and then it's Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson and those guys up front.
Man, he's a grinder.
He's still so active, so active. So it's just kind of weird that, I felt like they didn't play terribly on the offensive line, but not maybe to their standards from a pass protection standpoint. Vandermark got worked a couple times. That obviously it does make a difference having Spencer Brown, and that's going to be the biggest piece hanging over this. Is you didn't have Spencer Brown, a top 5 right tackle in the NFL. You didn't have 5 major contributors. They're already rotating with Dorian Strong. So I feel like there's a pretty high likelihood we're going to see Max Harrison play when he gets back. Like, for a lot of people, I heard a couple of people talking about even when Max Harrison comes back, like, this is Trey White's job, going forward. He might be just right off this whole year. Well, they're already rotating the 6th round rookie. I have a feeling like we're going to see the 1st round pick get some reps and get in there and potentially take that job fully. So, I think that not having Harrison, not having it Oliver, not having, good Lord, they ended up having to bench Dorian Williams. We saw Shaq Thompson finish the game at linebacker next to Terrell Bernard. That was in 2 linebacker sets. That was not in 3 linebacker sets. Dorian Williams was a mess in space today. looking to be able to find his footing. He's always a challenge in coverage. He's always much better coming forward downhill and run defense, but got juked by Spencer Rattler 3 times. Like you just can't have it. Like you can't get juked by that's not Lamar Jackson. Like Spencer Rattler, you're supposed to be able to break down in space and make the tackle. And to have Kendre Miller, the missed tackles, the other pieces that were there, it just was very frustrating to see another game where I don't think the safeties reassured us all that much. Obviously, a phenomenal play by Cole Bishop on the interception, deserves tons of credit for there. But
I think outside of
many of the missed tackles and what should have been the Brandon Cooks touchdown, there was an awful lot that were.
Yeah, the touchdown seemed like it was on Cole Bishop. Couldn't watch that one back. That super frustrating.
They said he slipped. We didn't get a great angle of it.
The optics of it wouldn't have been great. Obviously, if that was ruled a touchdown, that was a complete pass. Totally different conversation we'd be having today. But I think like in the big picture for him, I have a lot of positive plays for Cole. He came up and saved a lot of touchdowns. There was a lot of second level runs that got by this defensive line. Defensively, I have a lot of problems with the defense. I'm having trouble as to who to really point out defensively. I'm frustrated because it's just, I think it's general inconsistency right now where like the defensive line has some really nice splash plays. And then other times they're just kind of getting moved out of the way and worked. And running backs are getting to that second level. And you did see the safeties come up and make a few plays that saved more explosive runs in that aspect. And obviously Cole had the really nice interception, which could have been a really massive thing in this game. We'll get into it with the drive-by drive, but if they score there, they open themselves up for, I think at that point it was for the double dip. It was right at the end of the half. Yeah. They're about to get the ball back. Cole instead makes a crazy Micah Hyde-ish athletic play on the ball, kind of showing you why that high-end athleticism of why they want it to work for him back there. I see steps that he's taking, filling lanes, doing some things the right way. I want to go back and check that because that would have been a game-changing play that probably was on Cole. But outside of that, I thought he did all right. But again, Greg Rousseau not making a huge impact. He had the big stop at the end of the game, but you're not hearing his name a lot. Bosa
even that one was, downfield. Some of the plays are not. Yeah, like he didn't miss a tackle, which unfortunately today is worth celebrating. Right. But I don't know if any of them were tackles for a loss or anything. Even the tackle. I at first I was like, oh, cool. Did he bust through on that 2-point conversion play to stop it? And then I watched afterwards, like, no, he actually got blocked backwards a yard or two and then floated behind the defensive tackles and then caught Spencer Rattler before he got into the end zone. So good on him for doing that. But like, that's still like not anything special.
I do think in the run game they're putting a lot of attention on Greg Rousseau because I think he's the Bills' best run defender. So that all makes sense. But I think everybody defensively just had an inconsistent day. You even had Bosa, who I think lost a lot of reps early in the game, make some plays late. I think you had Deion Walker make a lot of really great plays in this game in the run game, but then also get pushed around in the run game at times. TJ Sanders getting kind of moved around, but then you see that explosive on the simulated pressure. He and Bernard, that explosion. So you saw the top end, I think, of most of the players, but you also saw that bottom end of this Bills defense at times on some of those long drives. So kind of offensively the same way, Greg, of trying to figure out who to point blame on the frustrations. But I think generally it's just inconsistency on both these sides of the ball.
Yeah, and obviously the way that the front plays, especially without Ed Oliver, we don't know Michael Hoyt, we don't know Larry Ogunjobi, we don't Matt Oliver behind them.
2 more weeks.
Matt Milano behind them. Ideally, we're going to be in better shape coming out of the bye here with all 5 of those guys plus Hairston contributing on this defense. But right now, the only way that they can make an impact is that penetrating style, which looks great when you break through. Like when you bust through, you get that first play by Deion Walker where he's, blowing it up in the backfield and it looks awesome. But if you don't blow it up, all you do is bust through and they kind of ride you out to the side and then create a huge lane behind you. And we saw Kendre Miller, Alvin Kamara, even Spencer Rattler, like we saw some of those where we went after the pass rush, but we opened up huge lanes behind. And obviously, understandably, I don't think Spencer Rattler is a guy that you build your game plan around like, oh, we're going to spy Spencer Rattler because he's
pretty athletic, though.
That kind of guy.
Yeah.
I think he had a career high in rushing yards today. I don't think he'd ever had 49 yards in rushing. So just some of that, I think, is the nature of like trying to make do when you're shorthanded with the guys that we have here. But ultimately, just they did enough, and that kind of is what it is.
Yep. Producer Colin's got some fun ones here as we transition our conversation. Joey Bosa has 5 forced fumbles in 4 games this season, including at least one in every game. So that's kind of fun. He is finding a way. I think today was not his best overall performance, but he still found a way to get in there at the end of the
Sure.
game. Got a pressure that led to a third down, then got his hand on that ball that they credited AJ Epinesa for all the success.
Yeah, they actually ended up crediting him for the sack and the strip sack at the end.
Yes. And so made the big play when you needed to, and just finding ways to impact the game in every game that he's suited up for the Bills so far. So that's encouraging as they're starting to get some more help along this defensive line.
One of the super chats here from Kel. I like to love the big brain strategy from the Bills. Don't play defense in the regular season, save it for January. Confuse everyone. I like that. Just keep them on their toes.
Here's my thing though, Greg, on that one before we read the next one. I think the optics of this game are going to be the defense still sucks and they aren't going to look great. Like the Reigns are going to be great, but I think they all equally sucked today, offensive and defense.
Yeah, I would say giving up 189 yards rushing to the the 0-3 New Orleans Saints, I think is worth criticizing. I think that's a rough game.
They scored 19 points. They probably should have had one more score, but the Bills played with short fields.
They had more first downs than us. Like I would have bet an awful lot of money they wouldn't have had more first downs than us, giving up 14 rushing first downs. So yeah, the
yards
that
say something about our offense
is what it is.
That they had more first downs.
That second quarter was horrendous. We'll get through that stretch of interception, punt,
3 of 10 on third down today.
Yeah. I
don't know.
A lot to be desired, but the defense was worse. The offense scored 31 points. Of course, the defense was worse. We gave up more yards.
I think it's misleading. I think there's some misleading stuff. I think they were both equally bad throughout half of the game each. And the offense put the defense in some really poor spots that led to field goals. Like there was a stretch where they started 4 drives, I think, in right around midfield, and only one led to a field goal, 3 points. And the offense did nothing in that 4 drive.
Sure, they also had 3 straight drives where they started inside our own 10-yard line.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not on the offense that they started at their own 2, and weren't able to go on a 98-yard touchdown.
That's complementary football, right? If you're giving that team the ball at midfield, when you get stops, you're probably going to get pinned unless you get a turnover type of thing. Sure. So I don't know. Sure. I think equally bad is my argument.
I think the defense was worse. I think the defense was worse, but I understand why you would think they were both equally bad. I think the special teams was rough today. Not anything particularly bad. I know obviously the 2 punts were pretty rough before Cameron Johnson got hurt. Nothing crazy, but like pretty open field, and only punted for an average of 41.5. Like that was supposed to be his strength, was at least getting good yardage on the punts. Huge credit to him coming back in after getting a hyperextended knee. Obviously, I'm hoping it was just a hyperextension. The fact that he was able to come back in, I thought it looked much worse than that. Initially, it did. You saw it hyperextend when the guy hit it and bend backwards, but hopefully that's all it was. If he was able to come back in for the hold there, that's at least something encouraging. I know there was a couple weird, I think 2 penalties on Reed Ferguson and a bad snap that Cam Johnson had to save him from on the one kick.
He's had a rough couple weeks, I guess.
Scoop it up off the ground. Yeah, just a rough stretch here from friend of the show.
A lot of changes in that unit here early in the year. It's a very weird time, probably.
Yeah, so way more turnover than we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
From a return game standpoint, I actually didn't mind the role for Curtis Samuel. Looked decent as a kick returner, and I don't love Khalil Shakir having to be back there as a punt returner, but he's obviously capable. We know Keon Coleman did that in college as well. So the thought did cross my mind during the game of like, is this better positional versatility and roster usage than having Brandon Codrington as the returner? Because they said it was a healthy scratch. They said he was not injured. And it did make me wonder, is that a roster spot when Hoyt and Ogunjobi come back to create an extra defensive line slot? We've been going 4-4 for a while here. We know traditionally we like to go with 9 defensive linemen. I wonder if that crossed my mind. Is Brandon Codrington's roster spot one that they could release to be able to bring one of those two back?
Do we have the numbers on the returns? It didn't feel like it stood out to me as being good today, but it was fine. Like, it didn't
Yeah,
seem like I know
Shakira's
they
only
had the
spot, there
penalty on
wasn't much
one,
opportunity. He just caught it and kind of went out of bounds
right?
for 6 yards.
Shakir
Samuel
or
had
Samuel needs new cleats. He cannot stay
he
upright on the Bills
slipped a
turf.
couple times.
Yeah.
Had a 31-yarder, ended up
Yeah.
having 3 for an average of
Yeah.
27.3. Ty Johnson's was odd, like that was like I think they were kind of almost like assuming Samuel was going to get it, but they kicked it far to the right and Johnson was in position. So then
Right.
that one was just kind of
Yeah,
they,
weird day.
the first one there. So I don't think any of them were special. There wasn't anything great, but it also wasn't a concern. So I'm
Sure.
just curious because it's not going to be easy to find a roster spot when
No.
those guys come back, because we've been not purposely, but we've been leaving ourselves a little bit shorthanded on the defensive line. And I think at least one of those spots is going to be going up to 9, and then maybe one of the defensive linemen gets
I
set or
almost
cut or something.
I almost wondered today. I couldn't decide if they went to Curtis Samuel pretty early on this first drive when we get into the drives.
Yeah.
And I felt like maybe we'd see more of him involved in the offense. I couldn't decide if that was this is what they feel about Curtis Samuel in this offense, regardless of his ability to be available, is that when he is healthy, he's going to be a part of it, or he's healthy. Let's get this guy some looks before the trade deadline so that we can make a roster move without having to make a roster move. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a few guys on this roster, AJ Epinesa. I think the Bills like him more than the fan base, but there's a few of these guys that are on these kind of contracts where if they produce enough here in the next couple of weeks, as the Bills are getting to take on some of the players that are coming off suspension and injury, I think ideally Bean would rather make a move than have to release one of the bottom part of his roster players. I think he'd like to keep a Codrington just as that piece. Like, maybe some games you can get, I know in the playoffs he wasn't active a ton in really meaningful games, but every time I see him, he's also making impact.
It's made me wonder if there's a trust issue there.
He doesn't always make the right move.
You know, like I like his aggression, but maybe they don't. maybe there's times he has had a couple where he's caught balls inside the 10 or even 5-yard line on some returns, and a couple where he's tried to return it where he probably should have fair caught. But again, for the most part, it feels like he's creating net positive yardage and impact. But it'd be interesting to see where those pieces end up and how they end up managing that. But I would say that 6 receivers and the 4, 4 and 4 on the defensive line, I don't think that'll be the same once we get the 2 guys back from suspension. I think that we'll have a shift there. And obviously one of them's easy because it's Jordan Phillips just going back, but that's also Ed Oliver being game day active. So that's, a piece of it. So just curious.
To game day active.
Yep, he's already had 2 elevations. Obviously, Jordan Phillips had his first here, so we'll have 1 more that we're going to have to juggle. Although 8 more days from now, maybe Ed Oliver is back for that game. In fact, I kind of think he will be. I think they were conservative today. I think this is a playoff game. I kind of feel like Spencer Brown and Ed Oliver both play. So I don't blame them for telling the team, like, hey, you guys got to figure out a way to win this game with Vandemark and Jordan Phillips, and they did. To their credit, they did, but it didn't feel as nice as what most fans were hoping.
On that note, like we were kind of talking in the preview show, are you a little shocked at the workload that they gave James Cook in this one with 22 carries, a couple catches in a game where we were kind of thinking, obviously they did need it. I mean, this game got away at the end here, but it was close for stretches of the game. So it felt like you had to keep your starters in, but it would have been nice to see more of the traditional, like, okay, now Ty gets a drive and we take some of those hits and things off James. As good as he looked, like he was a huge part of why the game looked the way it does. And we have this, but this felt like a week maybe to manage some of it for guys like Bosa and Cook here. I was a little upset that Landon Jackson still couldn't find his way into a game day roster spot to give some of these defensive linemen a little bit of a break. So I was a little disappointed the Bills maybe didn't get as much rest on some of the players, even that they did play, that I was anticipating in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think we probably have to take this as our indicator that
Cook's
that contract, James Cook is the workhorse back. Like that just is what it is. Like
if he's playing 22 in this game, like that's it.
I think if they're the comments are here. I know there were multiple people commenting. They wondered if McDermott was going to take the play calling back from Babich, and I heard a couple people. So I think I saw Bruce Nolan talk about it. I saw a couple different people talk about it, in that we were going to watch for indicators whether that would come up here or shift. And we'll never know. Not never, but it's pretty rare that he acknowledges it or talks about it. If he does that, but I get why some people were wondering that, and part of it was RC here on the super chat saying, "Not gonna lie, the Jags game PTSD crept came into mind, crept into his mind." Yeah, there were some moments there where it seemed like we were going to play down. This was probably, it felt like it was going to be like that Giants Sunday night game where we just kept letting them hang around. But again, this one we end up pulling away. This is more similar to last week. This is a game that was closer than it should be. Yeah. There shouldn't have been any scenarios where they had a chance to take a lead late in this game, but we end up putting up 30 points and winning double digits, and that's just the kind of team that we have here. Arizona Anime Fan says, if Babich still has a job on Tuesday, McDermott needs to be sent back, and this defense will send us home in January again. Take a breath. Like, there's reason to be frustrated. As Aaron pointed out, there are reasons on the offense not to be excited or not to feel good about what was going on here.
Fans.
We could be a 1-2 team that's frustrated about how great we've played, but keeps
with
losing
more
games.
names on defense, and a defense that's supposed to be like a top 5 defense actually being worse than the Bills.
Right? Yeah, our defense was supposed to be kind of middle of the road. We were hoping we picked up enough pieces to be above average, and the Ravens were supposed to be awesome and have one of the best defenses in the league, and they're getting rolled by everybody. So
it's so early. It's so early. They're going to work through certain ups and downs here. And
not
it might be a problem. It's the weakness of the team, but I don't know.
People also, we need to stop pretending like we're not missing 5 key pieces. We are. Yeah. We don't know what
Ed
this
Oliver
defense is going to look like.
Pro Bowl game before he got hurt again.
Yeah, Ed Oliver was the best defensive tackle in the NFL in week 1. Yeah. And then we haven't got to basically have him since. Yeah. And just being in those positions has put us in a weird spot to know, like, Matt Milano played pretty well. And again, that second linebacker spot was a huge issue today. We had to bench the other guy. Like, we literally had to bench a guy during the game. So having Matt Milano there, I'd sure like to think that's an upgrade. We had to rotate our other cornerback. It sure would be nice if we had the fastest guy in the combine as our other, first round pick as our other cornerback there to keep up with some of these speedier guys that are there. Like, all those things matter. Some of the things that we feel the drop off when it goes to the 7th and 8th defensive linemen. It sure would be nice if we had 2 guys that we paid like $16 million to be here. Like, all of those are very real pieces to this defense, and that doesn't mean we're all of a sudden going to become the 85 Bears, but it sure is a legitimate reason to think that if we add in those 5 guys, it will make a material difference to help in at least whatever the end format of this defense is going to end up being.
They were 5 for 13 on third down today, so there's that. That's baby steps, right? Like, there's going to be improvements from the guys that are here. There's going to be developments. We've seen it over the years. Again, I can't speak to whether or not the defense is going to blow it against a really good team in the playoffs. Sure, likely. The defense had just as much a part of keeping this game from the Saints making it an upset, I felt like, especially for stretches when we get into this drive-by-drive scenario. So it wasn't all bad. I think there's a lot to take away from this. Just like the players and coaches always say, the film is probably not as good or bad as any of this stuff that we're frustrated with or looks when they get a look at it. This is a good team who we're sitting here talking like if another fan base came on, they'd think we lost this game the way you and I are talking right now. And other teams would give anything to have a 31-19 game where we're like, man, there's, a lot of meat on the bone. They didn't look very good. So it's a weird spot to be in. Yeah.
Yeah. This is our life now.
Yeah.
I would, we're going to start out with the drive by drive here. It starts out nice. Like, it starts out
almost my drive of the game.
Yeah, I debated it. I really did. Like, the drive by itself, 7 plays, 79 yards, 4 minutes and 11 seconds. I always love when it's all positive plays. Like, there was no negatives. There was no, not even any incompletions, like 3-yard run, the nice play to Josh Palmer early. I keep waiting for them to get him going. We get the, again, that really nice whip route to Curtis Samuel where they motioned it, set it up perfectly. He stuck his foot in the ground and cut back. Like, it was really cool to see that usage. Like, that's what he's supposed to be able to do. And then the pinball wizard, your guy, Khalil Shakir, just looked fantastic.
Yeah, dude. This is really nice to see too, because he's had a bit of a slow start here to the season with that injury that he had over the summer. You saw a little bit last week of him getting some of that speed and burst back, and so to see him make this type of play, a Khalil Shakir real type of play, right off the bat. This, Greg, I had it, like I said, marked for being a drive of the game because I thought this was going to be indicative of what we would see them just cruise at this type of pace here for 3 quarters and pull Josh Allen in this game because the offense was just doing exactly what they wanted. It felt like they were going to run and pass all over this team. You saw Palmer get involved early after we heard him, being talked about in the media as not being involved over the last couple of weeks after being more involved late in week 1. He gets involved in this, and then you see Shakir make one of those special plays. I do think it is a sign that, like, Shakir, he might not be where St. Brown is, but man, I think he's a lot closer than he might get credit for in the media. Like, this guy just can make plays. The Bills have to find ways when the offense is stalling here, like we see in the second and third quarter in this game. I know they want to do the everybody eats thing, but I do think Khalil Shakir and really even Keon Coleman a little bit in this game are the guys let's feed them for a little bit, like they used to do with Diggs, where when Josh would get in a moment of a game where he'd stalled, you'd see him feed Diggs on a comeback and stuff like that just to get a couple completions. I feel like they're not doing that enough for Allen in a game like this.
Yeah, I'm torn. There's a couple guys in the comments of one of our posts from the Wednesday night show about, that we needed to get the ball to Shakir more. And it's hard because I do think we're in the best position when the most
Everybody
dangerous
eats.
weapon on the offense is the open guy. Like, the
Yeah.
open receiver is who you should go to. And that, we've had issues when we're trying specifically to go to one guy. But it just puts us into that position, when you feel like you need it. It is nice to go to there. And I've
Just makes
invented.
plays, though. It's hard to not want
Yeah,
to
well,
go to
this
the
one's
guy
it.
that, like, everybody makes some nice catches and stuff like that, but he makes the special play. It's kind of like James Cook. Like, James Cook does stuff the other running backs don't. I feel like
Yeah.
Khalil Shakir does other things that none of the other pass catchers can do.
Notice that the announcer tried to steal my term for James Cook, like talking about how he slithers through the line.
He is
Like,
slithery, though.
it's super weird. Like,
Yeah.
he moves like just unlike most other running backs. And I've invented a new segment here. I'm going to celebrate the best touchdown of the game.
Oh,
So I got some goodies
hey,
from
goody.
Southern Tier Brewing Company. This one's a caramel pumpkin imperial pumpkin ale, and this one from Khalil Shakir certainly deserves it.
Man, I got to get a shipment of goodies. I got to talk to our guy that has the connection. I didn't get
Oh,
any
that's
fall
really
goodies.
good.
All
Holy
right,
crap.
takes notes.
Mm.
They like Greg more than me. Got it. Got a Southern Tier. All right. That probably tastes delicious.
Unfortunately,
right now, victory.
we come right back.
Yeah.
It felt like we were about to get off the field. We get the a TFL on the first play. Nice.
Your boy, Keon, man. I got to step in here for a second. I'm on the Greg Tompsett large humans hype train here. Wasn't in on Deion Walker in the draft and have been like Luke on him here coming in. But I think what he's shown me mostly is like a play like this in the run game where he can be stout in the NFL in the run game and that back is holding up. Does feel like there's something special that could, if he can get this consistently like that, he could be a really special player. So I'm on board with your hype train, Greg. Congratulations.
Thank you. We're excited. We welcome all newcomers.
I would think I'm a pretty highly sought after free agent of hype.
You were one of our top targets. You were one of our top bandwagon targets. And I will say the intriguing part is he's playing more one tech than I expected. So they're putting him inside more often. I thought they would play him at the 3 tech, but if, again, like you said, on the run game, it's not going to be the style. He's never going to be the style of player that Daquan Jones has been, but as that potential successor to him, just to get him on the field, and he can be disruptive in that way. I don't think he's ever going to be like that stout, at hold at the point of attack kind of guy to keep linebackers clean. But if he makes enough plays that allows him to be disruptive, that could be exciting to see that we could have that kind of player behind him.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for this rotation to get everybody back here in full. When you get Ed Oliver back with this young rotation here, I think the Bills can really start to generate some stuff on the inside of this defense we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and we get him here where then we get him into that 3rd and 7, and this is the first one where as
Yeah.
soon as Spencer Rattler scrambled there, I was like, oh, don't do this today. Don't let him, set up these stupid plays. He scrambles again later for 15 yards.
Yeah.
We get the, ball to Juwan Johnson, and then that Kendre Miller touchdown. I don't know if you told me to guess whether there were 3 missed tackles or 12 missed tackles. I'm not sure which one, but it seemed like everyone had a chance to tackle him and did not.
Yeah, it was I've seen a lot of bad tackling by this Buffalo Bills defense throughout the Sean McDermott era, and it's been a talking point definitely a number of times. I've defended it as like, for the most part, when you look at the statistics, they are missing a tackle. But you saw one later here in the game that I've marked where Terrell Bernard comes up in a play, misses the tackle, Trey makes the tackle.
Yeah.
But it's still a tackle for lost play. That's a lot of it. This was not that. This was pathetic. Really bad arm tackle attempts against a pretty big, powerful running back in space. And he just kind of skirted. It was like me playing with my kids in the yard, honestly, if that's
Yeah.
what it looked like. Really pathetic. I just have piss tackling pathetic as my note and marked to go watch it and see what happened and to see really who showed. It seemed like a lack of effort play early in this game by the defense. As much as I've sat here and championed that the defense is average and mediocre, this was a really piss poor play by them to get
and
on this.
in fairness, like Kendre Miller is the size of Ray Davis. Like he is
but he's
not
like
a small back, but he ain't Derrick Henry.
No, he's not
like
Derrick Henry, but he's a stout.
Sure,
like
he's 6 foot
solid.
220.
Yeah.
He's the exact same size as as Ray Davis.
Yeah.
He runs hard, but it shouldn't be like that.
No.
There should not be. He's
well,
not.
when
David
you touch the
Montgomery.
guys in the heel, that's not like the best.
Correct. Like, oh hey,
space
come
to
back here.
take a guy down is grabbing at their heel.
Not a deal. Not a deal. So they drive down. All of a sudden, it's like, all right, we get them back in, but we answer right back immediately. The Bills come right back. We go to Keon Coleman right off the bat. That
I thought we were about to have
return.
a real big Keon day on this drive. Yeah. Like he was doing some of the stuff I've been looking to see out of Keon, like the comeback route, making some of those catches that we just talked about of like, hey, does Josh have a guy he can go to? Keon was that on this drive.
2 for 37 yards in 3 plays. Like 2 out of 3 plays went to Keon Coleman for 37 yards. Again, no negative plays, just continued. We ended this one 7-yard run to Cook, 9-yard run to Cook, 7-yard run to Cook. And you even saw him on that 7-yarder go back to the sideline saying, keep it coming, keep it coming. And they went right back to him, got him the touchdown. And franchise that was
record, right?
Yeah, the franchise record for 8th straight game. I think that was a nice nugget from producer Cowan here. 8th straight game that they were able to get him in for a touchdown, which is a really fun one.
Fantastic drive here. 7 plays, 66 yards, 4 minutes off the clock. Exactly what you expect. This is it, right? The offense started out fantastic. This is what I want to see against this Saints team here. And what was really on display here was the part about this Bills running game that's so special is there was the first one, 1st and 10. I know people like to joke around like, oh, you could have driven a truck through that hole. You literally could have driven a truck through the hole that he ran through before he got touched 7 yards down the field. But then on the 2nd and 3, the offensive line actually didn't do a great job. And James Cook's vision was on full display in this one where he bounced it out to the outside and picks up 9 yards for that first. Like this was a mix of what makes that run game so dangerous is some plays they can just work you and have huge, massive sweeping holes. In some plays, all it needs is one little ounce of space for James to see it and hit it. And that's so frustrating to be a defense that like you can actually guard it up right. And he's special enough to still make a play out of it, even though everybody's in their spot and they filled their gaps, won their one-on-ones, and James still makes plays. Absolutely special. I do think we're starting to see a swing. I don't know that it's for good, but this is a James Cook centric offense in 2025, I think, and it operates best as that.
Yeah. Well, it's Josh Cook centric offense, but yes.
Yeah. But I'm saying like when the run game's moving, it makes the pressure so much less 100%. On Josh.
And as much as we talk about the everybody eats, like there is a guy who we do not force touches to, but strategically make sure we get the ball to, and it's James Cook. Yeah. Like it just doesn't feel that way because it's not a number one receiver, but we do have a number one weapon. And that number one weapon, that number one weapon is our run game and our offensive line, and James Cook behind that offensive line and that's why it's worked in the way that it has. So I think maybe we underestimate how much of a number one weapon we do have. It's just not the stereotypical Stephon Diggs wide receiver one. It's James Cook in this offensive line, which is kind of nice.
It is super nice.
Oddly, this next drive, the defense actually steps up pretty big, but it doesn't feel great because we have another 17-yard run out in space. This is one where there was a couple times where, again, I don't ever love Joey Bosa in space against Alvin Kamara, but like just watching Joey Bosa diving at Kamara's heels 2 or 3 times in this game was like, oh God, Joey, come on. So the first one went for 17 yards, and we keep moving our way down the field. We get to where they're in position. We get a 1st and 10 where they're in our territory, and it's feeling like they're at 2nd and 5 at our 40. And then we stuff them there. He gets rattled. Daquan Jones ends up kind of tackling him there and gets credit for the sack, but that was from Bosa and Rousseau actually collapsing in the pocket. And then we get what should have been another sack, but it was an intentional grounding for a huge 16-yard loss. Moves them back, and this is where the defense is like, okay, we finally stepped up. We made a play, and this one was kind of odd. We get the first negative play of the entire game from an offensive standpoint. We get stuffed on the opening run. Then, here it's hard. We take a deep shot. I like those plays. Like, we've been matriculating the ball so well. We don't have to take the deep shot there, but now you're at 3rd and 11, and then it's an arm punt. Josh puts it up there, and they go down Joe Sanker. Like that play was there for Coleman, and he, took off from a half field, spot and made it there and just beat Keon to the ball. I don't know if Keon would have come up with the catch. It looked like it would have been out at his fingertips, for him to try to get there for it, but Sanker got to it. And just like you said before, that a lot of people are going to be focused on the defense here. And this was certainly a time where we could have capitalized and been able to, take advantage of a nice play or a nice drive from the defense getting a stop when they needed it, but instead gave the ball right back, and that they start with the ball at midfield.
Yeah, the offense had a Jekyll and Hyde game. They really did. They started out as looking like the exact dominant offense that everybody anticipates they're going to be. And I don't want it to sound, Greg, like I expect the offense to be perfect on every single drive. But on drives like this, what I do expect is at least a couple first downs, 2 or 3 first downs, give your defense a break, make a reward, flip the field. Right. It doesn't need to be get 3 points. I don't need it to be touchdowns, amazing Josh Allen play, long sustained drives, but I need more.
I'd like it noted. I would like touchdowns and amazing Josh Allen plays, but it doesn't have to be.
Sign them up.
I'm open to it.
Yes. I've seen a perfect game, so I know it's possible. But it's not even just this one drive, Greg. What gets me is we're about to go through a really horrible stretch here of this game where the offense plays 14
One of the worst quarters they've had in years.
Yes, the offense had 14 plays and got a total of 5 yards from the time.
And at one point had like 11 plays for -1 yards.
Yes, they had like one decent play here to end this stretch, and it's unacceptable, and it was lacking complementary football that Sean McDermott pounds the table about, because this is also the same stretch where the defense actually plays its best of this game and gives you the stretch to just run and take this game and get it a little bit away earlier than it needed to get out of hand. It eventually gets out of hand. The offense eventually wakes up, does their thing, but there's a stretch here where it just felt so frustrating that we just didn't take advantage of the door that was open for them.
This next drive, the Saints have the ball. We saw the first rotation at cornerback, and Dorian Strong makes a nice tackle right off the bat on Alvin Kamara. We get the nice 3 and out. Looking pretty good.
This is another one of those where they had the Bills blitzed on 3rd down here, Greg, and Olave juggled it going out of bounds. But they had the play. This is one where it's like, man, Bills got a little lucky. There was a juggle on his way out of bounds because they actually probably should have converted that 3rd down. He was wide open on the sideline. That was a routine play.
There were several plays today that just lacked the reason this was the 31-19 Bills win is the bad team made more mistakes than the good team. Like these two teams played pretty
teams. Yeah.
These two teams played pretty equally today. If you look at the yards, you look at the first downs, you look at like the drive success, even like there was a lot of the metrics are going to show this is a pretty 50-50 game.
Yeah.
And the reason it was 31-19 is plays like that in critical spots. They
There's a
had
bunch of
some
them.
really rough, between this and the Cooks, the Cooks play that I don't know if that was on Rattler not getting it to him or Cooks not coming up with the catch, but those couple of spots like that are critical in moments like this.
Absolutely.
So they get lucky. The Bills get the ball back here, and you get a little something going. You get it, Cook, and then again, like you said, another play to Coleman, feeling like a Coleman game. We then get a little bit of pressure, and Josh ends up having to dump it off, and then we get like a weird one of many weird timeout usages today. Maybe one of the most head scratching or frustrating timeout usage games I can remember. Just I hate burning second half timeouts, and we wasted 2 of them. And had a weirdly used early one here. And then we go in, get the ball to Shakir, get it to 3rd and 6, and take a deep shot to Curtis Samuel. Like I know, like, he was scrambling a little bit. There was some pressure. So Josh had to like let it go, but just like 3rd and 6 is about converting and like going for the this is like the fans who get frustrated about the lack of shot plays and things like that. Part of that is we are so good at creating efficient, clean drives where we can matriculate the ball down the field. You don't need to try for shot plays, or if you do, it needs to be because you got 8 or 9 yards on first down and it's 2nd and 1, 2nd and 2, and you basically get a free play to take a shot because then you come back and it's still 3rd and 1, 3rd or 2. You don't take shot plays on 3rd and 6. You try to convert, and instead we don't convert. We get the incompletion. We get a ugly punt
Plus
and Reed Hergeson holding call, and we give the Saints the ball back in midfield.
Yeah. It was the story of this stretch that I just referenced was the Buffalo Bills offense stalling, not playing efficient. It's the thing I want to go back and look like, was that shot to Samuel, was that the play, or was Josh just getting pressure and just
scramble drill? I don't. That certainly didn't seem like the call.
Like,
that
where
was
were
just
they
scramble
trying to
drill and
go?
Josh trying to find something.
Who's open? Who's not getting open? Because it didn't feel like there during this stretch. It didn't feel like Josh trusted what was open downfield, and he's not sugar high Josh anymore, where he's not seeing the field, and so I'm trusting what he sees.
Just like that sack early, like where you're trying to figure out, like, hey, what didn't he see? Why in the world did we not throw the ball?
Shout out to Staley. I think he did some cool things in this game. Not a great head coach, very good defensive coach, and I think that
that's going to be a great hire here for the Saints to pair them together. I think that's going to end up, once they finally do get some talent back. This is such a barren. They ended up, the way that, for any Saints fans that are out there, the way that they structured this coaching contracts, it's basically like a guarantee. They're like, hey, we're going to let you get through,
feel this out.
We're going to have to burn this down, and like all of the terrible contract weirdness from Mickey Loomis and all those different things is not going to be laid at your feet. You're going to get 2 years through this and get into year 3. And that you could tell that they structure those contracts. And I do think that between, that combination of offensive play calling and him bringing in a guy like Staley, I think is going to be a nice pair that once they do get the quarterback of the future, once they do get some of the talent and get some of these older guys off the roster, next year they're not going to be any better. They're going to have to eat some bad contracts next year. I think that they'll be able to reset the decks and come back and have a good coaching staff.
Yeah, I agree. And I think defensively they did some stuff that was frustrating to watch on this game. But when we go back and watch the All-22, it'll make more sense of like, oh, yeah, they threw Josh off just a second with a mugged look. The same stuff Sean McDermott does to guys where they're mugging a look, simulated pressures, things like that. Staley's good at that. And they did a lot of that stuff today.
I'm going to refer to this as the Ryan Vandermark drive, because we come in and he gets pushed back on the first play. So then,
well, they got the field goal. I don't think we talked about that.
They got the field goal on that drive. They went and 4 straight runs. They ran the ball, but they started the ball at 4 yards, 5 yards, 3 yards, 2 yards, and an incompletion, and then a negative play. That's normally not a scoring drive, but when you start with the ball in Bill's territory, that's already a scoring drive, and good on Groupie to hit the 54-yarder, ends up converting there. So now, okay, it's 14-10. We're letting them hang around. We didn't convert on our last one.
We should be up 21.
Interception and a punt. It's feeling weird. And now, okay, all right, we got the ball back. let's try to get ourselves here. And this one is the Ryan Vandermark drive.
Yeah.
He gets pushed back on the first play. It bumps Elijah Moore deeper than he wants. He gets ridden out of bounds for a no gain. Then we get a sack on Cam Jordan where he works him. Then we get a 5-yard penalty on the next play to make it 3rd and 22. And then we get another sack on this one with Carl Granderson. And just one of the, like, this is like drought era drive. Like, we don't ever have these kind of 3 plays, negative 16 yard, negative 21 yard
21
drives.
yards. Yeah.
And now
it's if we had a collision sponsor, this would be like a great one for car wreck of the game.
Yes, we
absolutely terrible.
Mark that down as a sponsorship opportunity.
Look for collision. Yeah. Actually, would fit in line with Hurt in a Car, West.
Yeah, seriously.
Like we'd have everybody covered, all the bases covered. Yeah, no, this is again though. I felt like, to me, holding the Saints to the field goal there when you had that field position still felt like a win for the defense. And then this is again how you repay. This isn't even repaying. This is like a slap in the face. We're going backwards, and then a not great punt going the other way, like just giving them back the ball.
Yeah, gave them the ball at hour 40. Like again, that was with the penalty, and
with the penalty,
their 10-yard return. They catch the ball at midfield, and he gets the ball at hour 40, and now it feels like
like 2:40 left or something.
Yeah, well, they get the ball at 2:52 at our 40, and now like it's running through my head of like, oh my god, are we gonna let them double dip our way into losing? Like, we're gonna be losing to the Saints? Like, that can't be.
And this drive felt like it was about to happen.
Yeah, I mean, how could it not?
It was happening.
Rattler, he gets Cook for 8, then we come back Henry Miller for 13. We actually do get a stuff from Taron Johnson here, and then Rattler scrambles for 8 more yards. We get to a 3rd down, and again Rattler runs for 3 more yards, like just letting them have this frustrating drive by drive, and we get it to where it's 3rd and goal, and there certainly looks like they're about to have a trick play that's going to work. They literally run the Philly special. They
a little too cute. They got a little
end
too
around.
I get it. You're the underdog.
You're a 16.5 point or 15.5 point underdog. You're 0-3. You don't have much.
You were just moving the ball though for like.
This is a weird spot because you just got an incomplete, so it's 3rd and goal from the 5.
Yeah.
So like it's a weird. Do you run the ball there and try to get it to 4th and 1, 4th and 2?
You don't do what
4th
you
and goal
did
from the 1 or 2.
I know that. I don't know what the answer is, but you don't do this.
Yeah, but it's also one of those things that if Cole Bishop doesn't come running across the field and make a leaping one-handed interception, that ball was about to fall in Spencer Rattler's arms for a touchdown, for a celebrated highlights everywhere.
Super annoying play.
Yes, like everyone would have been losing their minds. Instead, honestly, the best play of Cole Bishop's career.
Yeah,
like he came from not only across the field, like he was at past the opposite side hash, lined up across there, and went all the way across, barely getting there in time to one-hand that interception and put them in that position. And then obviously we didn't have enough time to do all that much because we started at our own 3 and had a penalty and then another penalty. So I would have loved with a minute 22. That's normally automatic for us to at least get into field goal range, but the penalty stuff meant that they just basically had to play chicken with the Saints and dare them not to use their timeouts and let the clock run out. And we basically just been like, all right, fine, we'll go into half 14-10 and everybody be frustrated.
Yep. I thought this was pivotal for the way this game ended up swinging here, because you had the moment where they could have double dipped here on the goal line and it changes everything. They get the ball. I know there's people out there in the world that watch sports but don't believe in momentum. I don't know how you would do that, but I think if they score going into half, they feel more confident coming into the second half here. But instead, when the Bills get into the second half, the defense still holds firm. And I think that I don't have it as my drive of the game, that kind of transition from like, hey, you got the stop at half, didn't do anything with the ball, but then stopped them on the other end of getting the ball from deferring, is such a big point in the game, especially then when the defense does, or the offense does do what my drive of the game is here. And I'll pull it up.
We're together on this. Okay, it would be.
So we could do this together. This is a great James Cook drive and how you reestablish this game.
Yeah, and I think the combination was the big one for
Yeah.
me was you come out, they have a chance here that you got the stop at the end, you kind of slowed them down. There's a big piece of like, hey, settle down, champ. You're not at our level. Let's not get too excited. But ultimately, when you let an underdog team hang around and hang around and hang around, they start to believe that they can win that game. And like, it's important at some point to get to the, hey, let's take it back here. So you come out of half, they're getting the ball. They do open up with a nice run right off the bat, but then we get a 3 and out from there after the next 3 plays. Get us stuff on the first one again. Deion Walker coming up big on that one. We get an incompletion. We get here the first weird burned timeout. This one was the one
Yes.
where
I'll go
McDermott was freaking out. It did look like, I went back and looked at it. He was right. Like, they should have stopped the Saints from snapping the
yes,
ball.
correct.
We were supposed to be able to substitute. He had every right to be mad. We should not have needed to burn a timeout there.
Somebody was running off the field though, and they could have gotten us for 12, I think. Like,
Yeah,
somebody was
because
they
we see it all the time
Yeah.
where you see the referee stand behind the center
Correct.
and not let the
Not
quarterback
allow
snap
it.
it
Correct.
because, like, hey, you guys substituted. You have to give the defense a chance to substitute.
Correct.
You literally can't get caught in a 12 men on the field scenario for there because the offense substituted first. Like, that's how the dual substitution rule works.
Correct.
You have to let the other team substitute if you're going to substitute. So, like, that's why McDermott was so mad of like, hey, you made me burn a timeout because you didn't have your umpire stand behind the center stopping them from snapping. We're not supposed to have to rush off the field.
I know you can't do it on the spot here, but that should be something that should be corrected by New York of like, oh,
they
hey,
should
the
have come
coach
down
was
and like, yeah,
right.
you're correct. We shouldn't have had to burn a timeout. What if we needed that timeout at the end of the game? Like, it was so dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's other moments in this game where I think that we can debate a timeout usage. This one, I don't, though. Like, it's 3rd and 7. You don't want the penalty on a 3rd and 7 when your team has struggled on 3rd and longs here throughout the year. Yes. It would go to 3rd and 2. So, again, and then you make the play that leads to a punt. So I think it's ultimately a good result, even though you do lose the timeout.
Yeah. Shout out to Matt Beauvais. It happens again later. We'll bring it up here.
Yeah.
Both times that it felt frustrated that we had to burn a defensive timeout, they made the play on both ends of they made the play when it mattered. So ultimately, if it ended up like, hey, saving us from giving up the conversion, at least on the 2-point conversion, and here, like, you made the stop when it mattered. So, like, if you're going to burn a timeout, make it matter, and at least it didn't hit us on the other end.
Yes, and Trey almost walked away with this as an interception. Like, that was a tie goes to runner.
This is one where he made the interception, but Juwan Johnson held on enough that rule of like tie goes to the offense, it technically allowed for it. But Trey made this interception for sure.
Yeah,
Trey had more possession of that ball than Juwan Johnson did. He just was able to tie it up enough to get them to make it technically a tie ball.
Trey had a tough game. People are going to be frustrated with him, but he made a couple big plays in this game and made some big stops, and that was good for him to see a play like that.
He's a nice veteran piece that we're going to be happy is on the team, and I'm going to be happy that he's mentoring Max Harrison when Max Harrison comes back from injured reserve. That's what I'm going to be ready for, is his veteran presence to be there and amazing depth, better than most teams CB3. That's what I want. And mentoring Dorian Strong and Max Harrison into the future.
Now let's get to the meat of the drive.
I'll let you run with this one because it is an amazing James Cook drive.
Yeah, so you get James Cook, 1st and 10, he gets 10 yards. 1st and 10, he gets 15 yards. He gets held to a 1 yard here, but then you get a swing to Shakir. Bills get backed up to a 2nd and 19. They get 11 of it back to Palmer on a ball really that Josh you don't see him do a lot like this. This was close coverage for Palmer. He put this ball into coverage. Palmer comes down with it for 11 yards. Shakir gets another one. Josh is just slinging bullets for 17 yards to Shakir on a 3rd.
This was another nice yards after catch for Shakir.
Another nice yards after catch. Goes for 17 yards on a 3rd and 8. Another Cook for 10 yards. On this one, I noted how good wide receivers Palmer was blocking on this one. You had some wide receivers blocking on this one, getting 10 yards down the field. Then you get
the next one. I had been I don't talk out loud that much because I sit by myself when I watch the games. I'm by myself in the basement. Like, we had been running the ball so well on 1st down that I was okay. But I got to the point where I was like, and I swear to God, this is real. On this play, I said, can I get one 1st down play action? Just one. Like, they have to be biting so hard because we are pounding them in the face on every 1st down run. Can I get a 1st down play action? And they finally hit it to Jackson Hawes on this one. It was so nice.
Yeah, Hawes gets his big play that he seems to get one every single
Won a game.
game.
Won a game.
Won a game. I love it for him because he does so much in the run game that
Yeah,
him getting some
he
of the
earns it.
credit here, he
I
earns
don't
it.
even think that's a joke. Like, I almost think like there's a piece of it where Joe Brady wants to reward Joe Brady and Josh Allen want to reward him because he works his butt off so much in the run game and in his blocking that they want to throw him a
You have
bone every game.
You have to. You have to get him something. And then I texted you right after this one, Greg, here on second and goal. Josh Allen rolls out, gives a fake.
You
Guy
ask for it all the time.
goes leaping into space, outer space. Josh Allen just runs in for the touchdown. You have to give it to me every time the Bills are in the red zone. Make Josh roll out and make somebody make a choice of him playing tricks with the ball or throwing it or running it or stiff arming you. I'm going to take Josh Allen 10 times out of 10 against all your defenders. And here he makes them pay. Bills go up 21-10. It feels like this is the complimentary football that Sean McDermott wants to see out of his team, coming back and showing them, all right, you are playing with a big dog in this game. We're going to take this one back.
100%. And it's, again, I don't care if they know what's coming. When you run a flood, give them 3 layers, give them a guy short, a guy medium, and a guy deep coming across, trailing as he's rolling out. He can choose to run or he can choose to throw it to one of those 3. I will take my chances every single day of the week. Every single day of the week, except for the day of the week where Steve Spagnuolo sends an overload blitz to that side where you're going to roll out to. That's the only time that I don't want it. But I'm watching the Chiefs, so it's giving me PTSD. Unfortunately, that should have been like the release valve drive of the game. Shout out to our guys at West Herr, Bradley, and the entire team over there. They're awesome. One of the largest employers in Western New York, the largest automotive group in New York State. We love the guys over at West Herr. Shout out to them and credit to them for
Thank you so much.
all of the fun of working with us here. It should have been like kind of the release valve of the game here. Cliff saying Bishop is on the path we all hope for. Love that play. I hope so. I'm not ready yet because he got worked a couple times later on, but at least we're seeing the flash plays now. Before there were only the negative plays and not a ton of good plays. Now we're seeing flash good plays, so it's trending the right direction. I'm happy about that. I'm not excited yet, but I am happy that we're seeing at least a trade-off of positive plays.
Yep.
Again, that should have been like kind of the release valve. Okay, we're up 21-10. Let's run with this game and just let it roll. And instead, on this next drive, like, we only got the Saints to third down once. Like, they go on an 11-play, 65-yard drive and just keep moving the ball down the field. We get into 1 3rd and 1 that they still get a 3-yard run, but they just keep moving the ball down the field over and over and over again. We get caught with 12 men on the field because it looked like Joey Bosa just wasn't running hard enough to get off the field. Which again, when they've run 7 straight plays, you get tired, but come on, man, get off the field.
Get off the field.
And we get down there, they throw the crossing route to Chris Olave in the back of the end zone, gets a touchdown. We do burn a timeout during the 2-point conversion, but it gets us into the right format because as they show it on the replay, we had 10 guys on the field. We did need that 11th guy in the field because fortunately Gregory Rousseau was able to float flat back and hit him as Rattler was about to run into the end zone and tackle him at the 1-yard line. Keeps it 21-16 and at least impacts the strategy of the game at that point where now they're down by a touchdown instead of a field goal.
Yeah, I joked around and on that timeout, put out a poll on Twitter or X of how mad were you before we saw the 10 guys on the field on that one. I was like, how mad are you? Are you whatever, we stopped it, doesn't matter, or fire McDermott? And there was a shocking amount of, but I think you could put up a poll that says like anything, like, do you like Pepsi or Coke? And if one of the options was fire Sean McDermott, I think you'd get like 35%.
Healthy amount
Of people would just,
Shout out to all of our Discord channel, the longest running inside joke in the Discord channels, the reaction of fire McDermott
to any news or reaction. But this is super annoying because it does hang them in this game that they otherwise have no business being on. So I do understand the frustration of the defense on this one, Greg, because there was 3 drives that are just, again, the inconsistency of both units to have decently. I don't think the defense ever has the high level of play that the offense does. The offense is high level drives are just the best in the league.
Yeah.
But the
So
defense
we'll
made
have one of those in just a second here.
yeah, the defense made a number of stops, but then you have some of these just like long,
Yeah.
sustained, frustrating drives to what feels like a very much inferior opponent. So
Soul
I do
crushing.
understand the frustration, because there's no reason they should be in this game still.
Yeah. And again, this one felt like, well, okay, fine. We stopped on the 2-point conversion. We're still up 5. Just go
Yeah.
down and score a touchdown, put this game away. And it feels like that's what we're about to do. Allen gets a nice swing pass to James Cook for 11 right off the bat. We go right back to Cook. We get our lone Ray Davis touch here for 3.
Yeah. It looked like Cook. The only reason he got that is because Cook cramped up or something, or a shoe might have come off or something. It was not because that was part
it
of the
wasn't
game
strategically.
plan.
It was not strategically. If it was strategic, he would have started the drive.
Correct.
And then Ty Johnson with maybe the worst vision I've ever seen on a 3rd and 1 drive. Like, I get it. The coaches yell at you about bouncing it, but he literally just like lightly ran into the back of our offensive lineman and kind of stayed there and pitter patted his feet for a 0-yard run on 3rd and 1, where the Saints had no penetration and no free defenders, where if he just cut it inside or outside, at a minimum, he gets tackled as someone makes contact for the first time at about 2 yards and they fall forward for 3, and it's a conversion. And instead, we end up with no yards and go to 4th and 1. And then again, Ryan Vandermark is not a starting caliber offensive lineman. It wasn't fully on him. He tripped over Osiris Torrance's feet. I'm going to guess that Spencer Brown doesn't trip over Osiris Torrance's feet and hits Granderson on the pull, and Khalil Shakir gets tackled, falls forward for 2 yards on a 4th and 1, and we convert. Instead, we give the ball back to the Saints and again continue to give this lesser, 0-3 winless team, give them life, give them confidence, give them reasons to feel like they're capable of playing with us, and let them hang around.
Yeah, I don't love anytime a situation where I get you're trying to put a team away and drain some clock and get out of here and not make it too much of a hassle. But here where it's the 1st and 10, the handoff to Ray, then a handoff to Ty. I don't want to go 3 plays without Josh Allen having the chance to make a play, unless the game's like totally wrapped up, win probability high 90s.
Where there are times where you're playing the clock more than the opponent. We were not there yet.
We weren't there yet.
We were just barely into the 4th quarter.
Yeah, you weren't there yet. Felt like you needed to be a little more aggressive, probably on that 2nd and 2 than the Ty Johnson run. I think they got a little too cute. I don't know. Maybe they do get this play if Spencer Brown's in. Felt a little too cute for me on the 4th and 2.
We've run it before. Like, we ran it before on a 4th down, and it worked.
Yeah, I think I'll probably sound
stupid when
they run it again, and it
the
worked.
commentators announced it correctly. Like, if he doesn't trip, like, Granderson's there and he hits Granderson and Shakir cuts up inside him, and it's not a big play, but he converts. Like, he gets the 2 or 3 yards.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't like it. I think it's a little too cute on a 4th and 2. I know it's a long one. I don't know. Just put the ball in Josh Allen's hands, see what happens. Same type of thing as the red zone. Let's get him in space, see what happens. If I'm going to have a big play in a game like this, I want it in Josh's hands. I know Andy Reid's run these plays successfully for years, so I'm not knocking it. It felt like too cute in the moment. The game wasn't out of hand yet. You needed to convert this. Not even, again, I didn't need the offense to go down here, Greg, and score a touchdown. Go down, put 3 on the board, take some time off the clock, give your defense a rest. They just put up a long drive against
24-16 would have been totally fun.
Yes. Just give your defense a little bit of a break, put some more points on the board, and just keep this thing coasting. Instead, they make it, like you said, they make it a little bit more stressful than it needed to be here with another decent drive by the Saints.
Yeah. And again, this turnover gives the Saints another drive. This starts in Bills territory. They started our 49. We get another tough run by Kendre Miller, another nice pass to Chris Olave. We're moving the ball down the field. We get the one to Brandon Cooks. All of a sudden, we're inside the 10-yard line. Thank God we do get the one where Terrell Bernard kind of blows up Alvin Kamara in the backfield, and then Trey White comes and cleans it up for the actual TFL. But Terrell Bernard caused that play. And then we get the play where it sure looks like Spencer Rattler throws a third and 13 touchdown to Brandon Cooks. They showed Cole Bishop slipped. It was inside of Taylor Rapp, right between the 2 safeties. We'll have to watch back when it comes out. That looks like it's on Brandon Cooks. I think that's a decent throw from Rattler. I don't think he's anything special, but I think that play, Cooks did one of those, receivers sometimes jump when they don't need to. I think if he just keeps his feet, he catches that for a touchdown, but he thinks he needs to jump and ends up having to reach down after he jumps and then comes down and it hits the ground. So it rightly gets called incompletion, although I will say there was a moment there where it's one of those plays like the Trey White, Juwan Johnson, where like all of us logically knew the ball hit the ground, but there was a piece of me when it went to commercial, I was like, are they going to not find a angle of this to show that it hit the ground? And it kind of looked like he might have pinned it against his leg with his wrist and that it wouldn't get overturned. It ends up getting overturned. And then did they not show the field goal on TV?
And I thought they did.
I didn't see it.
Oh,
like I'm
I
sitting
don't
there
remember
watching,
specifically,
and I
but maybe.
remember them talking about it. Like somebody in the chat let me know, did they show Groupie's 35-yard field goal on TV? Because I didn't. Like it came back and they announced it that it wasn't, and they kicked the field goal, and I was like, do we see the? Because I was waiting to watch him kick it, and then I just watched him kick off, and I was like, what is going on here? And then I think the reason to be frustrated with some of the play calling, like you said, getting too cute, is the next play, the next drive shows and I almost picked this as my West Herr drive of the game.
Yeah. We can give him a second one. Hey, it's our show. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I think it's perfectly fine that we get into a third down and Josh Allen breaks like 5 tackles for a 27-yard run, and then we run the touchdown is a real hat tip to Joe Brady because it tricked me. Like I was for sure watching for the running back lead swing pass where you have the lead blocker on the swing pass, and so was the defense, and they cut up and Dalton Kincaid went just untouched for a touchdown. He trotted 28 yards down the field for a touchdown with no defender within like 10 yards of him because all of them were looking at James Cook to get that lead block swing pass. So shout out to Joe Brady to put that one on film, that we're going to get some extra yards on that James Cook swing pass because they're going to be afraid of the tight end leaking down the field.
Yes, I think this drive gave the Bills a lot of leeway in the optics of how we're going to talk about them this week because they started out hot. They had this sort of like middle kind of thing, came out of the half hot. This was probably just in terms of where the hammer, you're the nail. Best dry, like we have Josh Allen, you don't. You like to say that.
Sure. Yes.
That was on display here.
This is one of those.
The gravity that he pulls, the ability for him to make that long run. He made like 3 really nice moves. He juked somebody, he stiff armed somebody, and then like ran 3-4 yards while they tried to get him down in that tackle, just doing special things that he's the only one on the planet that can really do that kind of thing. And then that Kincaid play, like you said, Brady just drawing up the perfect play there. 4 plays, 60 yards, minute 46 to retake the game and sort of change the outlook of how we're feeling a little bit. They get it back. The offense makes just enough plays every week to make us forget about that slump in the middle of the game.
We have Josh Allen. It works.
We have Josh Allen.
So our guy Cliff gave us a run of super chats here. I'm going to read. So first was nothing was tight today. Maybe Cook. That's it. Then he, all caps about the penalties. How are we so undisciplined? Today was not great. Like normally we're pretty good with that stuff. Today was not great. He talked about Bishop on the path. And then this one I felt he lost power at half and had to listen on the car radio in his driveway and had so much salty language that he thinks he's going to get a homeowners association nasty gram. But yeah, the penalties were rough. Not ideal in that situation. So now the Bills are up 28-19. They're in good position where you're up 2 scores. Now it's like, we're feeling pretty good, but it's not like we've stubbed our toe enough.
You got to go finish this game. There's still 6 minutes left?
7:07. They have the ball 7:07. There's plenty of time where it could be weird. Like something weird could happen. You can't take it for granted. You've got to be in position where like, hey, it could happen. You're not sure. So they start to drive their way down the field. We get a nice one to Rashid Shaheed. We get him to another third down. They get it to 4th and short. Christian Benford makes a great tackle on Rashid Shaheed on the 3rd and 10 crosser, where that's an open field play where Shaheed is a really fast player. Benford makes a nice tackle to keep that at a 7-yard gain and not let him get the third down. And then Alvin Kamara, I want to credit Trey White, but Alvin Kamara, caught the ball in an awkward, weird position and then, tried to do, you remember back against Pittsburgh, Khalil Shakir had that crazy play where he caught the ball and then went down so low that he looked like he was on the ground, but like kept his balance and then ended up somehow pivoting and scoring. Alvin Kamara tried to do that, but instead fell down, and Trey White got credit.
Yeah, he did.
He was in position. Good on him being in position. Like he was there to make the tackle, even if Kamara stood up. But if Kamara was on his feet, I kind of feel like he might have fallen forward for the first down.
He might have been able to get the first down, but they come up with the stop. Trey, like you said, he's in position.
Yeah, and he's there in the right spot.
Seems to be the kind of constant of this defense. The Sean McDermott insert whatever defensive coordinator is. Most of the time they are in position. They don't always wrap up, make the tackle, but they tend to do just enough. But really, I have both plays highlighted. The 3rd and 10, you giving up 7 yards there hurts. It was a nice blitz. I think they pulled the blitz. I think Spencer Rattler handled the blitz.
Yes,
pretty well
today. Played better than I expected. I get why Tyler Shuck's not playing and why Spencer Rattler's playing. He's playing okay.
He's playing okay. And I don't think, like I said in the preview show, I don't think they're getting a fair evaluation from him from the talent perspective that's around him. And for the lack of talent, I think he does play okay. I think it's low end, probably similar to like a Tyrod Taylor in his prime level, where like a low end starter, bridge QB type of player, but definitely not playing poorly enough to move on from in this scenario. And so, him getting that 3rd and 7 or getting 7 yards on that 3rd and 10, that stop by Benford leading to the 4th down play where you're able to get a stop is low key one of the plays of the game, because this could have gotten weird. And instead you
could have gave them confidence again.
Yes. Even if it was a stop 2-3 yards ahead, like you get them into a 4th and 1, we're talking about an entirely different play of what they're able to do in that scenario to pick up that yard and keep that drive going. So just enough to get that tackle, make that stop. One of the bigger plays of the game by both the cornerbacks who didn't have their best day, either one of them on the day today.
So obviously it speaks to the rushing game that they had, but crazy stat from Sespinar here that Rattler had a career low in passing yards. They have so much garbage time that he has a lot of like empty stats. He played as intelligently today as I've seen him play. So I was impressed with him in the fact that today was a career low in passing yards. I think speaks to how well he actually played.
Yes. And I think he made some good, well, part of the reason so I could go on a dissertation why yards are so meaning. Part of the reason it's a career low is he also started half of his drives on our side of the
like you don't like every other drive is
correct.
Crazy.
That's going to lead to some low yardage output numbers just starting at midfield. So I think that's baked into it a little bit. I think he played better than the box score looks to me.
Yeah. So all right. We now get the ball back for a final drive.
5.5 minutes
matters. At 5:36, and we get an annoying penalty and a sack, and it feels like things are about to give them some hope back, and we get another like weirdly 2 incredibly impactful, influential roughing the punter penalties in back-to-back
really
games.
Stinky 3rd and 6 sack though. I think that play needs to probably get highlighted a little bit more, which I'm gonna look at, because that could have been like a why? What are we doing? Then you're giving the ball back with still 5 minutes left.
What are you doing? Like this is just terrible. And we're about to give them the ball back. Instead, we get it back. And then shout out to whatever call Joe Brady put in Allen's ear for that naked bootleg for him to run and slide. Like super nice. Milk the clock a little bit more.
Slide technique he's gained.
Hey, look pretty. Good. He was not great at that early. I will say, Josh, you can't throw an incompletion on 3rd and 3 when we're milking the clock. Like, I don't even love a pass play, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm fine. We're at that point when you're up 2 possessions and you have the ball with 2:16 left or whatever the previous play was, 3 minutes left. So I don't even hate on 3rd and 3. We're running the ball so well. Run it again. See if you get it to 4th and 1 where you might want to do a snowplow, or you might want to do a run play coming out of the 2-minute warning to try to go for it on 4th down, or you just convert. But if you're going to pass, like, it's got to be a swing pass dump off or a screen play. Like, that was a weird spot to be in. I was really surprised that we ran like just a traditional pass play. It wasn't play action. It wasn't a Josh Allen play action rollout. that one was a little weird. I don't really get why that was our call on 3rd and 3 at their 17 when like getting 1 or 2 yards was a totally successful play running the rest of the clock out.
Yeah, there's a couple moments of play calling confusion to
Sure.
me, of making the best play call available, but you end up getting the points and putting the game away essentially. I
Yeah,
mean,
they
it's
get the field goal. They go up 31-19. You give the ball back, and they are not able to do anything on theirs. We get a strip sack. We get some pressure. We get a sack early from Epinesa. Then we get a strip sack fumble from Joey Bosa on 4th down. So it ends it in the way that's there. Yeah, and as Nick said here, what about a snowplow play? Like I like it that we're not leaning on that and we're trying other things in 4th down. And last year we
yeah.
got a little trigger happy with that, where it was just automatically what we went to every single time, and then it became predictable late in the year. So I like that we're forcing ourselves to work on other things. That's still in our back pocket. We can still run that anytime we want. I like that they're keeping that in our back pocket, and the only way to get good at other plays is to run them. Like, you have to run those plays to get good at them. So like you said, maybe that one that they're trying to Shakir is too cute. Maybe they need to try
Maybe
some
not,
other
yeah.
stuff here. But keep working on those things to be able to get there.
This is the game. I mean, we're so frustrated when we started this game out, Greg, and talking through it. There's definitely some frustrations throughout the game. I think in that second quarter, in the middle of third, this team slumped. We've seen it before out of a Sean McDermott team in a game like this where they kind of slump, and then ultimately they wake up and do exactly what we expected them to do in this game. But this is the kind of game where it should probably we expect them to come out and be perfect, but it's a game where you're resting. Like you said, you have 5 guys on defense. There's Spencer Brown's out. There's like key players out. You're probably testing some new things, some things on the 3rd downs that you're testing, some things you're trying to get better at that you're testing. We've seen Kansas City, we've seen New England, these dynasty teams in September, October, trying new things, installing new things, taking a look at 4th downs, playing them differently than they anticipate playing them in January just to get new looks. Not that they're not taking these games seriously, but you're trying things on your way to winning. So maybe it doesn't always look as pretty as your fans want it to, or as good on film, but you're still picking up the win decisively. This is a 1-score league. You're winning 2-score games. And doing exactly what you're supposed to do while not playing your best football. We don't want them playing, right? We say it every year, Greg. We want them playing best football after Christmas.
Peak in January.
Yeah.
It is. One of the things Belichick was right about is that football doesn't actually start until after Halloween. Like, that's when real football starts.
Yep.
And I will say, like, it's not about, like, people get weird about this. You're not holding back your best plays. Like, that's the wrong way to think about it. It's the fact that, don't you want more than one best play? Don't you want more than one go-to option? The only way to make something become a best play or go-to option is to rep it and to get good at it and to be able to execute it in critical moments when it matters. That's what you do now in games like this against the Saints, where, like, hey, you can go back to that and have those plays available to you because you've repped it and got it ready, and you're able to execute it when time matters. Plus, still have those best plays in your back pocket when you do it.
Yep.
All right, are we ready to bring up fantastic producer Colin Ritchie for some of the best nuggets and stats that we found here during the game?
Brewing, Colin?
Colin, help us out. What did you find from this lovely 31-19 Buffalo Bills victory?
Yeah, so first one, we're going to go back in time with a little bit of Bills history. So Cole Bishop's interception, he picked off Chris Olave on that trick play, and that was the first time the Bills recorded an interception against a non-quarterback since Chris Draft intercepted Ricky Williams in 2009 in a game against Miami.
If you asked me to bet, like, my life savings was Chris Draft ever an Buffalo Bills football player, I'm not 100% sure that I would have said yes.
Yeah,
like, I would have hesitated. I would have hesitated for a minute to be like, I think that name sounds familiar, but like 2009 was a rough stretch for the Bills. That was a rough stretch.
Yeah, I had to look that one up on Pro Football Reference. He played 12 years in the NFL, 1 year with Buffalo. He appeared in 11 games, started 3 games. That was his only interception of the year.
Whew. Deep cut. All right, give us another one.
All right, today was Josh Allen's 45th career game with a passing and rushing touchdown, which ties Cam Newton's record for the most in NFL history.
And I will say, like, I know a lot of fans get very sensitive about, like, best dual threat and, like, what do you consider? Like, obviously, I think Josh Allen is the best dual threat quarterback because one of the two dual threats is passing the ball, and Josh is better than Cam Newton ever at passing the ball. But like at Cam Newton's peak, when healthy, prior to his shoulder injury, he was the best red zone weapon we had ever seen in the NFL. And for Josh to now have surpassed that while already far surpassing his passing ability and anything he ever did. But the fact that even from a dual threat standpoint, he's now passing his records from rushing and passing combinations, that's really impressive.
Yeah. I think people forget there was like a 2.5, 3-year stretch where Cam was like one of the best offensive players in the whole NFL.
It's unbelievable.
He was doing the Superman and people were mad and he's like, then stop me from scoring touchdown.
Yeah.
Like
unbelievable.
Yeah, he had a run. It was a longevity that was Cam, and I think that's maybe where the sensitivity of Bills Mafia comes in from. Is like that style has been told that it can't hold up. But I think Josh has gotten so much better after the last 3 or 4 years of sliding, not taking the unnecessary hits. The offensive line
had seasons where he had 150 rushing attempts, and they used him like a fullback, and that was dumb by their leadership. That was short-sighted. Like, yes, he was
Cam Newton
effective in that year, but that was very short-sighted. That was very dumb of them to batter and ram him.
I think Cam also got hurt in the pocket.
Yeah. I think that's true. I think that's true.
But yeah, he didn't have the pocket presence Josh also has. So anyways,
for anyone who's watching us while watching the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens, the Chiefs just went up 20-7 on the Ravens with another touchdown here in the first half. Interesting. So
maybe even more importantly, Europe has a 14-12 lead with 2 guys out in the Ryder Cup.
You said more importantly. That is not correct.
It's the Ryder Cup.
It's far less importantly, but I understand why you're excited about it. Yeah. Colin, who were you rooting for in this game? Like strategically, were you rooting for Baltimore or Kansas City in this game?
I think I'm rooting for Baltimore because we already have the head-to-head win against them. I know it's kind of a no-win, no-lose scenario. Like one of these AFC powerhouses is going to fall to 1-3.
It's a debatable coin flip no matter what, but I'll explain mine in a minute. How about you, Aaron?
No, you got to put KC away. You got to cut the head off of that beast and bury the Kansas City Chiefs as far into not making the playoffs as possible. I think both these teams are going to be well alive into 100%. Late football season. And so if KC could have gotten buried to where the statistical odds were really improbable, I would have felt a lot better after this weekend. And we beat the Ravens in the playoffs twice. I don't know.
I don't disagree. I feel like the Ravens are the better team between those, so I want to see them get the loss, and we still play the Chiefs, so we can still give them another loss in the regular season. So I think I lean that way, that I was rooting for the Chiefs to win because I just wanted the Ravens to get a third loss already, and it just pushes us closer to the first round bye, especially with the Chargers getting their loss today and all those things go in that direction. But you guys aren't wrong. Like, I ultimately, when it comes playoff time, you ask me, hey, which team do you want to play? I'd rather play the Ravens because I don't want to. Like the Chiefs
will do something. You got to cut the head off Mahomes, man.
It's Michael Myers. It's Freddy. It's Jason. It's every horror movie villain. Like you have to fully end it and see their dead body before it's all the way done.
I agree.
All right,
the problem with that is, I would say the problem with trying to bury Kansas City is there's just not enough good AFC teams this year where like there's a chance they miss the playoffs. Like I'm looking at the Saints right now. Right, like New England and Jacksonville are in wild card spots right now.
Pittsburgh's a 3-1. They're going to be like leading the division. You asked me who's going to win that division. I'm still going to bet on Baltimore, but Pittsburgh looks like a wild card team. They look like they're going to be their wild card time, and there'll be surprise.
Poor Greg at left turn, having to hear Pittsburgh,
having to fear Greg, Mike Tomlin, and our guy. All right, give us a couple last nuggets here before we get you out, Colin.
Sure. So Josh Allen, with his 5-yard rushing touchdown today, surpassed O.J. Simpson for the third most scrimmage touchdowns in franchise history. So Allen's at 70 rushing and receiving touchdowns. He's trailing only Thurman Thomas and Andre Reed, who are both at 87 career scrimmage touchdowns.
I do think it's nice that Thurman and Andre Reed both have 87. That is kind of nice.
And Josh is 17 away from them right now.
It's wild. All right. I know you mentioned earlier Joey Bosa had 5 forced fumbles in 4 games, 1 in every game. Had a rough start to the game, but finished it in a flurry. Anything else that caught your attention?
Yeah, James Cook has 100 total yards and at least one touchdown in every game this season. He's definitely been the bell cow.
I've already taken my L here on. I did not want to extend him. I was comfortable resetting the clock with another rookie running back last year. I was wrong. He is even better this year than I gave him credit for, and I already liked him. I just strategically don't like paying running backs a second contract, and I thought you needed to be in that Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry realm to get a contract, and I thought he was good, but not that good. And I think I'm wrong. I was wrong. I think he is that good. I think he is a top 5 running back in the NFL, and his ability to consistently, his improved contact balance, his improved yards after contact, his ability to break tackles and to run like harder, like even though he slithers through and avoids contact very often, his ability to withstand contact and like put his head down and carry defenders forward. He did that 2 or 3 times today where he carried a defender forward. Like he was not doing that stuff early on. And if that's what we're going to get, he's going to earn every penny of this contract.
Yeah, it's been fascinating to watch over the last couple of years because my debate has been, I think he's like top 8 when you look at the running backs in the NFL. There's a lot of good running backs in the NFL right now. But I think over the last month of football, I think he's really shown that when you show the last couple of years of efficiency from him, he's been top 5. And I think going into this year, now that he's become the workhorse for this Bills team and really the kind of chugging this offense along, I think that he is top 5, maybe even top 3 back. I'd argue right now for the first month of football, he might be the best running back in the NFL. Right up there. I think the case for production is there.
Yeah, this month I think it's him and Jahmyr Gibbs for Detroit that have been above everyone else in terms of production.
For me,
Jonathan
I still have
Taylor's got to be right there.
Taylor's played really, really well. I still think Saquon, Derrick Henry, McCaffrey are also phenomenal. So I think that's that group that has him in that top 5. But he's outperformed many of the. He's outperformed Henry. He's outperformed Saquon. He's outperformed McCaffrey. So even if I think some people would still have those guys ahead of him. I think he's playing better than them right now. So at a minimum, he's in that tier with them through his performance. And then, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, that's that top group. Like Josh Jacobs is off to a really rough start. Ashton Jennings has played really poorly. A lot of guys that we expected to be a stronger Bijan Robinson has played well. Like Aaron said, there's a lot of really good running backs. Oh my God. I think Baltimore just fumbled and gave the ball to Kansas City. There's a flag. We'll see. Yeah. All right. On that note, let's everybody go watch this second half. You can decide who you want to root for. I still think I'm going to root for Kansas City, but I get why Colin and Aaron are going to root for Baltimore because we already got that W from them and we want to bury the Chiefs as deep as possible. The best news is no matter
20-something twice.
One of these teams is going to be 1-3. It's great. If they can both be 1-2-1, I might not hate it.
The Bills don't have a loss. That's all I know.
The Bills are 4-0. We're undefeated. It's great that we're in a position where we're kind of like, man, we haven't played that great, and we're 4-0. It's lovely. We appreciate you guys. We will be back earlier this week. We're going to be doing our preview show on Tuesday night. We will be joined by our friend Evan Lazar, who's going to be joining us again for a lovely preview show on Tuesday night. Make sure you come and join us, and then we'll be back here again breaking down the post-game show from Bills Patriots again next week. But make sure you check out all the awesome film review, all the great stuff we do here at Cover One. On behalf of our awesome producer, Colin Ritchie, my lovely co-host, Aaron Quinn, I'm Greg Tompsett. You have been listening to Cover One Buffalo, and we